now to make the first round of the yoke and prepare for the colorwork. So first I'll explain the structure of the sweater. So the Valley sweater is made with a Raglan structure. So every round of the yoke is made of the stitches for the right sleeve, the stitches for the front, stitches for the left sleeve, and finally the stitches for the back. So between each of these parts, we'll make increases that you can see here, here, there, and there. And to create this Raglan structure and to obtain enough stitches for the body and the sleeves. So in the pattern and in these videos, I will refer to the panel where there is the colorwork as the front and the panel that is plain color as the back. But because the construction is symmetrical, you have the same number of stitches here and here, you can wear it the way you want, meaning you can wear the colorwork in the back depending on your preferences. But I originally designed it to have that in the front, even if it's not my favorite way now anymore, but as I originally designed it this way, I will refer to that as the front. Then this pattern presents here large bands of color. So to be able to do that, we will use a technique called Intarsia. So this technique allows to have changes of color without having holes between the two colors. And we will additionally make a cable between both colors to add some texture. So the back of the colorwork looks like this. You can see here the different bands of color, and you can see that they are held together. So there is no hole between them. So you can see the two color threads that are crossed, so that the two parts are linked together without creating holes. And we will see how to do that. So we will start with the first round of the yoke to set up the Raglan structure, to put a marker between each part of the sweater, and to set up the colorwork. So to make the colorwork, you will need to prepare some bobbins of each color. So to start, you will need one bobbin of the main color for here, and two others, one for this part here and one for the back and the other sleeve. So 3 bobbins of main color and 2 bobbins of the color B, second color, because you will need one for that section and one for that section here. And later in the pattern, you will also need 4 more additional bobbins of color C, one for here, one for that section, one for that, and one for here. And same for color C, so you will need 1, 2, 3, 4 bobbins of color C. So first I will put my work back on the needles because I just tried it. So we are ready to start the first round with the right sleeve. So if you follow the pattern, it says knit 1, so knit 1, and then we'll make the first increase. So to have a nice Raglan structure, the increases that are on the left side of your markers has to be leaning to the left, and the increases that are on the right side of your markers have to be leaning to the right. So now we have to do a left leaning increase. To do that, you pick up a stitch from the yarn that is in between your 2 needles, and you pick it up from the front to the back. So this is really important to do it on the right way. So from the front to the back. Okay, I insert my needle from the front to the back, and then I will knit that stitch, but I will knit the loop that is on the back loop. So I knit this one, and I just made a left leaning increase. Then you need to knit the number of stitches that is indicated in the pattern for the sleeve.
Ocean blue, I came home for you, cut my
arrive at the end of the sleeve, and we need to make a right leaning increase this time. So to do that, to make a right leaning increase, you pick up a stitch again from the yarn that is in between your two needles, but this time you will pick it up from the back to the front. So I insert my needle in the yarn from the back to the front, and I knit it normally, so with the front loop, and this will create a right leaning increase. So I can show it again. You insert from the back to the front and you knit it normally. So now we still need to knit one, and we will have finished the right sleeve. So we put a stitch marker here to indicate the end of the sleeve and the beginning of the front. So now we will knit the stitches of the front. So the front presents colorwork and cables, so you will need to follow the chart to complete it. So if you look at the chart, it indicates that the first stitch is made with the second color, so we will need to introduce the second color and knit the first stitch with it. So instead of simply knitting the first stitch with that color, there is something we need to be careful about, is that these two strands of the two different colors are twisted together. Otherwise it will create a hole. So to do that, you take your second color and you make it go under. You make it go under the first one, and then you make it come back over it like this. So your first color is held in that loop that we created with the second color. And now you can knit the first stitch with that loop. Like this. Now you can pull a little bit here, pull both yarn, and you can make a knot with these two pieces of yarn of the second color. So it's secured, and you can see that the first color is blocked inside the loop that we created with the second color. Now, if you look at the chart, we will need to make a left leaning increase with the first color. So instead of using the white yarn that I had before, I will introduce the second ball of the first color, so the second ball of white. Because if you look at the end result, these two parts of white will be separated by a band of colors, so we need to use two different ones. So we'll make a left leaning increase, which means that we insert and pick up a stitch. We pick up a stitch by inserting our needle from the front to the back, and we will knit the back loop with that strand of yarn, and always by being careful of catching this one inside this one, so we won't have a hole between both. So we do the same. I put my second yarn under the first yarn to block it inside this loop. Sorry, and I will knit the back loop of the stitch I just picked up, like this. So this brown yarn is blocked inside the white one, and I will make a knot again to secure here. Then we need the number of stitches indicated in the pattern for the main color.
Time to go. I'll be waiting while you're not alone. You know me, I won't be surprised if you leave. I'll wear a disguise. Darling, don't you wait.
Now it's indicated that we need to do to make a right leaning increase. So we pick up the yarn from the back to the front and we knit the front loop like this. And then we need to knit one stitch with the second yarn, the second ball of the second color. So we introduce that second one. We do the same, we make it go under the yarn that we were currently using to block it inside the loop, like this. And we knit that stitch with the second color. I pull that and I make a knot. That's the end of the front, so we place the third stitch marker to indicate the end of the front and the beginning of the next sleeve. So for the next sleeve we need to knit with the first color, so with the white. And again it's the same because this two part of white will be separated by a brown band. We need to introduce a new ball of the first color. So the same again, I will knit this one, but first I need to catch the thread that I was currently using inside of a loop of the new one, knit it with that loop and secure. And we can continue the sleeve with a left leaning increase, so from the front to the back, and we knit the back loop.
For me, tonight I won't be coming home for tea. And if you want to read
now right leaning increase, so I insert it from the back to the front and I knit the front loop. I knit one and I place my last stitch marker and I do the same for the back.
Just go ahead, there's nothing to hide. I'm so depressed, I'm not gonna lie, but your problems are bigger than mine.
So I reached the first markers, so I finished my round, and so we set up the different stitch marker indicating the different part of the Raglan structure, and we introduced all our colors. Now we are ready to knit the yoke,